So I'm the middle of three girls. We were encouraged to dream, to have big dreams. But how do you have big dreams in a place where there's no opportunity, Like, how do you get from that A to C? Yeah. Well, you'll just be whoever you want, do whatever you want. That was just sort of very vague.
You're listening to the MILF Podcast. This is the show where we talk about motherhood and sexuality with amazing women with fascinating stories to share on the joys of being a MILF. Now here's your host, the MILFiest MILF I know, Jennifer Tracy.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. This is MILF Podcast, the show where we talk about motherhood, entrepreneurship, sexuality, and everything in between. I'm Jennifer Tracy, your host. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's already, we're already entering the second half of September. I feel like, you know what, I need to get some new material because I say that every week, but it is real for me, just the shock of how quickly time passes, juxtaposed with how slowly my son feels that it goes. Like, to him, Christmas and winter break feel so far away, and I remember that, but that was a long time ago. So, today on the show, I have Lilly Bright. Lilly is one of my dearest friends. She is so talented, multi-talented, and just fiercely creative and deeply beautiful. Like, she's physically beautiful, yes, but she's just beautiful on like a deep level. And her soul work is just evident in the way that she lives her life. And so you'll get to hear all about her in a moment. But first, a couple things. So just a reminder that the Give Initiative is Amnesty International this month. Their website is amnesty.org. They are all about human rights. What they do is truly magnificent, and they have people and stations all over the world working to help those that don't have a voice and help those that need defense and protecting and basic things like food and clothing and shelter. Anyway, they say it way more eloquently on their website. Give them a check out. You can also click to that through my website, MILF Podcast. And today's episode is sponsored by Flirty Girl Guide. FlirtyGirlGuide.com sells curated sex toys. So she has like a bouquet of sex toys together, a little gift basket. She has a blog on there too, so you can read about it. And Brooke Christian is my friend who owns this company. And she started this out to empower women to feel sexy again and to enjoy sex and to integrate that with their partners, because it really ends up happening after you've been married for a while. And especially if you have kids, it just sort of poof, it just evaporates. That was my experience as well. So she's all about this, just really empowering women to take control of their sexuality and find their kink. That's something that is so fascinating to me. In fact, I'm writing a book about it. Anyway, so FlirtyGirlGuide.com. Check it out. All MILF listeners get an exclusive 10% discount with the code MILF10. So use that code at checkout and you will get a 10% discount. So Lilly Bright, my guest today, and I met when our kids were 5 months old. We went to a baby class called RIE. I've talked about it on the show before. It's called Resources for Infant Educarers, and that will be in the show notes as well. The link to that if you want to know more about that. But that's how we met, and she quickly became a huge lifeline for me because we were in the same boat at the same exact time. It was hard. It was really hard. And she's such an incredible mother. She's an incredible woman, incredible mother. And I learned so much from her. And she and a couple of other women in that class held me up, even when they didn't know it. Like, even just knowing that they were out there and knowing I could call them, knowing I could text them, knowing that their kids were at the exact same developmental stage as mine. They were struggling with many of the same things. There was so much comfort in that. And, those were the first moms that I followed, and I really followed everything they did. And you'll hear me talk about, like, I would call Lilly and be like, what do I feed him? Like, because he wouldn't eat stuff. When he started eating solid foods, he was fine at first. And then he got really picky. like 3 or 4. And you don't know if you don't know. And I don't have family members that I can ask that stuff. And so I asked this group of mothers, and that meant the world to me, having that kind of community. And so it's a huge part of the impetus of why I started the podcast, is because I wanted to create, even if it's just for an hour in somebody's ear, that feeling of community and of like, you are not alone. You feel so alone. It's so lonely, but you're not alone. And you can do this, and you will keep going and get through this, and you're going to be so much stronger and fiercer because of it. That's my experience and the experience of many, many of my friends and the women who've been on the show. So without further ado, the beautiful and talented Lilly Bright. So thrilled to have you on the show. This is like a dream come true. And to be in your beautiful sun-filled office just feels so nice. You are one of the most fascinating women I've ever met. Truly. You're holding in a laugh.
My husband says the same thing.
Does he?
Yeah.
In what context?
When you're
fighting?
Whenever I'm acting very weird or strange, or what he thinks is very weird or strange, or
I can hear him saying that
between setting the table and making dinner or something.
Yeah, he's just watching you like whiz around and work your magic because you have lots of magic. That's so funny. Yeah. I can hear him saying that. I remember when the kids were in the toddler school and we're doing a field trip going to the strawberry fields, and it was really far. We drove and drove and drove, and you and your husband showed up, and he said, "This was close." He is so funny. So I want to start from kind of the beginning. So where did you grow up?
I was born and raised in West Virginia.
What was that like growing up as a fascinating little girl?
It was the worst place for me, and it was the best place for me. It's certainly a place I can't imagine ever growing up anywhere different, because West Virginia is one of these places that, it lives in your bones. It lives in the smells there. It's such a unique piece of geography.
Right.
It's very landlocked, so it's hard to get in. It's hard to get out. Like literally, with the mountains, the roads, the lack of airports, public transportation, and yet there's something so sensual about the place. Like I can smell it here. When I sit here and talk about it, I can feel the humidity. I can feel the dampness of the earth, and it also felt very suffocating growing up in a place where, there was one option of where I would go to school, public school, one in the county. Well, two in the whole county.
Wow.
But now one, because one got flooded a few years ago in these floods in West Virginia. One place, very few choices.
Yeah.
You wanted to, so for someone like you, me, I think big dreamers.
Yeah.
It felt really suffocating, limiting. And at the same time, like to have dreams is a really precious thing to have. Like to have longing of something you can't get is it's amazing motivator. I think about like raising children here, and I never imagined I would raise children. Well, that's another story. But
wait. Let's go into that for a second. We'll come back to. So you didn't think you were going to have kids?
It wasn't. I sort of felt not even less than ambivalent. It wasn't on my to-do list in my life, which seems crazy now because I love being a mom, and I'm a really good mom.
You really are.
I can feel that myself. It's a natural thing for me.
Yeah.
To mother, to parent. But prior to meeting my husband, because he brought that out of me, the desire to have a family. Prior to that, it was just like, maybe. Yeah. I don't. But I got all these other things I want to do.
Yeah.
With my life.
Yeah. and that you were doing. So, okay, so back to Virginia. So that's interesting.
West Virginia.
West Virginia, excuse me.
I have to correct that.
Yes, I'm sure that happens all the time, right? Because people don't
It's amazing.
think of it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah,
they don't realize it's a separate entity.
Yeah. It's interesting. That's fascinating to me.
So, growing up in West Virginia, at what point did you? So you were just talking about this and articulating so beautifully, like having a dream is this precious thing. Was that nurtured or understood by your family?
We were encouraged. So I'm the middle of three girls. We were encouraged to dream, to have big dreams. But how do you have big dreams in a place where there's no opportunity? You know, like how do you get from that A to C? Yeah. Well, you'll just be whoever you want, do whatever you want. That was just sort of very vague.
And what did your parents do?
Well, my mom was, her background's in teaching and guidance counseling, but she was a stay-at-home mom. I mean, she volunteered in the community. My dad is an entrepreneur. Was in the coal business for many, many years and in manufacturing. Had a big plant in the town I grew up in.
Did they have big dreams that they pursued and then went a different way, or?
My dad had political ambitions.
Interesting.
Which he didn't get too far away from, because when you're in coal business and when you're in tourism, you're in politics in West Virginia.
Sure.
I mean, it's political.
Yeah.
And when you're in a state as small as West Virginia, under 2 million people, population-wise, it's not, after you have a certain amount of success you can have a certain amount of influence. It's not hard to be influential, I think.
Right.
But he was a big dreamer. Yeah. Hard worker and a big dreamer.
So, but you're a child or teenager coming of age and seeing this, and you're trying to figure out, it sounds like you're trying to figure out, like you said, how do I get to see? So what happened? What was the next move for Lilly?
To get out.
And when did you get out?
When I went to college.
We make it sound like you got out of prison.
I know it does. It is kind of really, though, it is remarkable. Those who have grown up in West Virginia, there's like a tribe of people who are like, you get out. Yeah, got it. But are you going back? Yeah, of course I have to, you got to go back.
It's almost like, I don't know if you watched The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, yeah.
It's that whole day. That's how they talk. Are you going to get out? Did he get out? Did she get out?
Canada.
Yeah. So when did you leave?
When I went to Northwestern University. So I was, after graduating high school.
Yeah.
My younger sister went to boarding school, so that was interesting.
So she got out early.
She got out early. Yeah. She was very, she was self-motivated.
Yeah.
By the fact that there were 4 years between us.
Right.
In no way was she staying home alone for 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah. She was like,
that's how she felt.
Yeah. I've seen the way this is, and I'm not participating. So you get to Northwestern's in Chicago.
Yeah, north of Chicago, just north of Chicago.
And so that was a whole new world. I mean,
it was a big change, but it wasn't that I had never left, my state before or traveled. I had been exposed to that.
Right.
Through my
but by yourself.
Yeah. And being a bulimic.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just say it. I have struggled. At the time, it was severe. It was really a severe issue for me at that time.
Yeah.
Debilitating, be it, I don't know, some people call it a disease or an addiction. I don't ever know what camp to put it in.
Yeah.
But it was something that I was struggling with on a very extreme level at the time. So that made college really hard.
Yeah.
A place of, with a lot of challenges. I thought it would I thought those challenges would disappear. It wasn't that it developed in college. No, it happened way before.
Yeah.
I thought college would be something it wasn't. Yeah.
And I mean, I know for myself, I've struggled with food issues. I was never bulimic, but I had other food addiction issues and some anorexia, like binging and starving. And did you feel like you had, 'cause I know I felt like this until I didn't, and I started talking about it with other women who struggled with it at the time. But did you feel at that time going into college like you had this secret, like this giant secret that nobody could find out?
I always felt I've had a secret. I've always felt that this has been a secret. And it certainly was at the time. And there was all the shame around it. All the shame. Of course it was a secret. I mean,
yeah.
I wouldn't have even admitted it. I mean, I was admitting it to myself. I was in therapy. I had already gone to a hospital, an inpatient to try to get help. But it was, a big secret.
Yeah. And so that continued, and you continued at Northwestern, or did you move? I can't remember.
I stayed there for 2 years.
Okay.
And then I moved to New York City.
Yes. So that's right. You moved to New York City. So what precipitated that move?
Well, the fact that I felt I couldn't manage the pressures I was feeling at school, the pressures I was putting on myself, but that I felt also in college.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think for many, many years, I followed this idea that if only I moved to another location, or if only I do something X, Y, or Z differently, then this thing that is tormenting me, making me do this, self-harming actions to myself, then that will go away. So part of it was like, oh God, I just need to move to New York City. Like, I need to be in the real world. These people, I don't like this college thing.
Yeah.
And then poof, I won't have any more.
Yeah.
I won't have all this pain I was experiencing in my life.
And so you moved to the city, and what was your dream then, and what was your plan? Did you still have the big dreams that were cultivating inside of you?
Yeah, I still had drive. I've always had a sort of no shortage of ambition or appetite.
Yeah.
I got an internship at VH1 Studios. I wanted to work at MTV for since a child. I mean, we're the generation.
Who didn't want to work at MTV? I mean, it was the shit back then.
Absolutely.
Everything
This is
was happening.
1997, early
Everything
97.
was
Everything was happening.
They did the first reality show.
That's right.
Real world.
Yeah.
Riveting.
Oh my God. Just music videos.
Music videos.
I mean, VJs.
VJs.
So that's
Didn't
where
you
I
want to
wanted
be a VJ?
Of course, I wanted to be a VJ. I wanted to be a news commentator before that. And then when I found out there was a VJ option.
Yeah. I mean, sign me up.
Right? So I got an internship at VH1 Studios. And other than being there every day, I was the intern that got promoted to a paid position.
Yeah.
And then after about a year of doing that, I really got disillusioned with that world. And I was still heavily struggling with the eating disorder, which wasn't making any of this easy.
Yeah.
Having any kind of regular job, going into work. I mean, it was like being hungover all the time.
It's hard to function. Yeah.
So I decided to get back to school and finish up my degree. And I was studying dance and yoga at the time, something called Feldenkrais Method. So I'm trying to heal. Yeah, in New York. Yeah, New York was a good move.
Yeah.
I mean, overall moving there was a good move.
Yeah.
But it was still that early 20s trying to find myself. That was the theme. Searching, trying to find myself, trying to find what I cared about, what I was good at in the world. I had a lot of dreams, but I don't think I had an accurate reflection of who I was. So then
right, of course not.
How do you know what tree to climb? Or how do you know what?
Well, and in my experience with my own addiction, which I've shared about many times on the show, my alcoholism and I've shared about my food stuff too, but is that when that kind of, like you said, like what camp do you put it in? Is it an addiction? Is it a disease? Because it really, for me, it filters into all of the things. It is a spiritual malady. I don't know. Yes. Yes. But like you said, I just didn't have, I mean, and now, even now at 44, I was just saying this to my friend Elaine this morning. I look back on those years and I just want to hold that girl and just say, oh, honey, like you cannot see yourself. You are amazing. I just couldn't see myself. And I too, at that time in my life, was struggling with, I had dreams. I didn't know how to get from A to C, even though I had moved to New York, even though I had opportunities, and I couldn't, because I was participating in my own self-sabotage with the addiction and couldn't stop. It just was an impossible, it was like coming up against a brick wall again and again and again. I relate to that.
Yeah.
And at some point, didn't you go to somewhere upstate New York to study cooking?
It was actually Western Massachusetts.
Western Massachusetts.
Close. The Berkshires.
The Berkshires, of course.
I did.
So beautiful.
I went to study how to cook. I went to a macrobiotic cooking school in the middle of the Berkshires, near Lenox, it's a beautiful area.
Gorgeous. Yeah. Yeah.
And what drew me there? I mean, I'm a seeker. I'm a seeker, and I'm trying to heal myself at the time.
Yeah.
Anything and everything from, psychiatrists and medications to, I need a new relationship with food. Who doesn't need a new relationship with food? I mean,
yeah.
And I wanted to learn how to cook. I just thought that's a skill I need to have.
Yeah.
I didn't have my mom. It's not that we didn't live in a place where we could go out. That wasn't a going out to eat culture. It's not like today's world. You didn't have all these options.
Yeah.
But I also didn't know how to make anything like from scratch.
Which is amazing to hear you say, because since the moment I've known you and we became friends, like I was always just blown away by, I would come over and you'd be like, oh, those are beans that have been slow cooking on the oven, on the stovetop all day. And I'm making this and you gave me some recipe. I didn't know how to cook at all. Like I learned how to cook from you and from Katie. I didn't know. And I mean, you are one of the moms. The show is called Moms I'd Like to Follow. Like you were one of the moms I followed in the early days that I just was so bleary-eyed and like hanging on by a thread. And I would call you or text you and be like, what?
I remember you asking me, what are some like breakfast options for this?
Yeah.
Which is interesting because with my daughter, I think about you and that question all the time because my son was so much easier to, he and I we have like the same palate.
Yeah.
My son, who's 10 now. And so whatever I like pretty much, he likes. And Emily, my daughter, and I share some of the same likes, but we don't have the exact same palate like where my son and I really do. So I have struggled with like, what am I making her for breakfast? Because she didn't like the things I like for breakfast.
Yeah.
So I think about you and that question, and you were like, what? Can you give me some ideas?
Oh, I still struggle with it. I mean, I've shared about it on the show. His eating it's really hard to get him to eat healthy foods. But that's a whole other rabbit hole. So, okay. So you left New York for a short period of time to go to the Berkshires and study cooking. And you had dreadlocks, which is one of my favorite parts of the story.
Wait, how do you know I had dreadlocks?
I love you and adore you and worship you, and I listen to you intently when you're talking. I also remember you saying you were valedictorian.
I was.
Which I knew you wouldn't mention on the show because you're humble, but
I was.
You're really, really smart. Okay.
Thanks.
So you had dreadlocks.
I did. I grew dreadlocks. I don't know what this is.
You were a macrobiotic
98,
chef.
99. I grew, yes. I used Nog Champa soap.
I love you so much. Oh my God.
And I drove home in my Volvo that I had just bought my own money. And I was like, it didn't have airbags. And my dad was like, which I get it now.
Of course,
I
because you're a
totally
parent.
get it. I would have been like,
yeah.
over my dead body.
Exactly.
You're not driving a car. But I was all like, I'm invincible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's just
and did you still struggled with the eating
bulimia,
disorder?
Yeah.
Bulimia,
yeah. Yeah. It was, it was a long road to recovery. But it's not, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back or type of thing.
And I love that
as
you shared, you tried everything.
Yeah.
It wasn't for lack of not trying. And I think that's so important just for people to hear who are themselves struggling with it. And then people who have loved ones who struggle with it, that it is a torturous existence.
It can be a long time. And because it's food, because it's not like
alcohol where you just leave it.
Where you could,
you have to eat.
You got to eat. So you got to face it like all the time. So it can take a long time. And I think I was very hard on myself to be perfect about the recovery.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
How ironic.
You can't win for losing. It's just, yeah.
It's a disease of perfection. And then you're trying to heal it with this perfection kind of standard.
Yeah.
And then, so it was back and forth between New York City and the Western Massachusetts. And I got involved in a couple of dance companies at the time. Was teaching some yoga, was doing some work in some retail stores, still, very much trying to find myself, trying to heal myself, really still feeling that unless I could get a handle on this compulsion, this addiction, how am I going to have a life? How am I going to make a life? Like, how am I going to make a career? Like, I don't know if I can stop this. Like, am I going to binge and purge? I probably will today. Not today, but back I'm thinking then, this is back then.
Yeah.
And it was just that like on around any corner, there it could be. And then there goes my day. There goes my job. How could you hold down a job when you're like, it's like you're consumed. You're just all consumed.
Obsessed.
You understand if you've had this, any kind of addiction.
Yeah.
You just struggle to get through the day.
Yeah.
So I was trying to find my way out of that struggle to get through the day to where I could actually feel like I could function. And then someone told me to move to LA. But I was looking for a way to move out of New York. It was kind of I was getting done with it. Yeah. I could feel myself ripe for like a new chapter.
Mm-hmm. Were you at this time yet involved in producing?
No.
Not yet. Okay, that came in LA.
It came in LA.
Okay. So you moved to LA just kind of like, let's do this now.
Well, it's actually, it's in my show. It's in my show.
That's right.
That
I got to hear I was very, very privileged to hear an early reading of your show. And I can't wait to come see it live. I'm bringing a friend.
I can't wait for you to see it live because you heard such an early stage of the draft. And so it's really,
So I'm sorry.
So, I was traveling already. I left New York and knew I was headed west, California.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I always had California in my mind for a long time. And I met a woman on my travels, barely knew me. I barely knew her. And she said, you'd make a great producer.
Wow.
And I'm so, not susceptible is the word, suggestible, that it just went into me. I just thought, oh God. And I needed maybe someone to give me permission. That little part of me or part of all of us that feels, just someone tell me what to do and make it feel and be it, make it that it's the right thing. Like it feels good too. Yes. Like the thing that you're like, tell me what to do. And then, right.
And you'd be good at it.
Yeah. You'd make a great producer. You should move to LA. And I just thought, okay, all right, I'll do that.
That's just amazing because that's such this, I always say you have ovaries instead of you have balls. To just say, okay, I'll do that. And then like, you did it. Like you did it. And you didn't just do it. Like you did it and can still do it exceedingly well. But how did you begin? So again, we've come back to this sort of theme of like big dreams and so forth. Like you had a new dream or what was marinating and cultivating into a new dream. How did you then go from A to B to C? Like how did you, and you're moving to LA, new place, you're young, you're still struggling with this
26.
thing.
Yeah.
How did you do it?
I felt like I was running out of options. Meaning, in a good way, like it was like, I got to make this work. I think I just harnessed a lot of courage and grit, which I totally credit with being raised in West Virginia. Like, because we were, we were just really raised outside, outdoors, and just had this, kind of fearlessness. My sisters and I thought LA is always a kind of fortuitous place. Sometimes I think we land in a place that supports us.
Yeah.
I took a lot of lunches. I ate a lot of lunches. Yeah. I stopped throwing up as much, and I met a therapist that really worked for me. I was really, I felt really aligned with this place, with LA. And I don't know, does that sound kind of weird?
Not at all.
But I think sometimes we just end up in a place where our stars sort of match. Yeah. And it felt like that place to me.
Yeah.
In 2003. And I just stayed really open, met lots of people through, I don't know what I did. It was you didn't have a smartphone.
Yeah.
I just kept following some kind of intuition at the time. Yeah. It was like all I felt like I had to go on.
Yeah.
And instinct. I think I have a good instinct. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all have.
And what was your first break in as a producer, like your first break?
I met these producers in Venice, a community of producers. And they had a project that I got involved. Do you want me to talk about specifics?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to, yeah. It's interesting to
me. I got involved in a project that actually was supposedly based in West Virginia. It all turned out to be a hoax. If anyone's heard of the J.T. Leroy hoax.
Oh, I don't know about this.
All of this author who was supposedly this young boy, transgendered author from San Francisco, was actually a woman writing the books, but pretending to be someone else. Big literary hoax. There's many films have been made on this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
J.T. Leroy. And I got involved in that project. It came to me just through, I knew I had met one, I didn't know anyone here except one woman who I had met at a dinner party in New York City. And I had, knew her for 2 hours. That's the only person I knew in LA when I moved here. Which honestly, in retrospect, I was like, that was bonkers.
That's insane.
I don't think I would even do that today.
I did that too. I didn't know anyone when I moved here. I was 23 and I didn't know anybody, and it didn't matter. I don't know. I was just, there was a piece of me that was fearless. As when I moved to New York when I was 18, same thing. There was a piece of me that was fearless, but also vastly insecure. It's so interesting that they coexisted, but
it is
so
interesting.
And then from there, you just you took off.
I just ran with it. I really ran with it, and I was getting so much confidence. I think that's where I was getting. I was going to say addicted, but it wasn't. It was being filled with a good feeling about myself.
Yeah,
that I had looked for in every nook and cranny. And it was coming from a place where I really wasn't expecting it to find self-worth in running my own production company and being busy. I have a lot of energy.
Yeah.
You'd strike me as one of these women.
Yeah.
I like to be busy,
to be doing stuff,
and not as I need to be distracted.
No, not just busy work.
But I have there's a sense. I feel like a lot of energy inside.
You need to make stuff. You need to create. That is just in your being, and that's with since the moment I've met you. It's just even when we were in the class with our little babies, they were 5-6 months old. You just had this creative spark. And when I come into your home, you make your home beautiful, you make your food beautiful. there's an artistry about your life and the way you live your life that's so compelling and inspiring, you know, and I can't wait. We're about to get to your show that you've just created, which is so epic.
Yeah,
so
creation.
When did you meet? Can you tell me the story of how you met Evan? Because that's sort of, I know, in that realm of time.
Yes. That was in 2007. And like so many things in my life, it was a serendipitous encounter that happened through a chain of events that so kind of unbelievable that, you know, in it, I couldn't have written anything even better than it, because I had met him I met him in 2007 at a house party. It was his house. Ended up being our house. And I was invited to that party by a guy that I met at the Viceroy Hotel bar. Not even by myself. I was with a girl. I had met up with a girlfriend there. And not just any old girlfriend, the twin sister of my first boyfriend from New York City.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And I had just run into her in Aspen, Colorado, and found out, in the ski lodge at the top of the mountain. It's going to continue to be like more convoluted. Like, no, really? Yeah, really. After 10 years, turned around, took our ski hats off, and we were like, what? And I'd always remain, we maintained a good, relationship. It was, I was 20. He worked at MTV. He was an editor. And awesome guy. And he was 7 years older. We dated for a while, seriously dated for a while, and then we parted ways. And I ran into his twin sister on the top of Aspen Mountain in early 2007. She was living in LA. I said, okay, when we get back to LA, let's go have a drink. She said, great. Met her at the Viceroy for a drink. Was on my way home, said goodbye to her. She's staying in the bar to meet up with a guy, have a date.
Yeah.
And I'm on my way driving home to my apartment in Venice. Oh, those were the days. That was 2007, Venice. Oh, I turned around midway. I'd forgot my sunglasses.
Stop it now.
I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. My sunglasses.
God.
You know how, I don't know if you're one of these. I'm one of these people.
All the time.
Okay.
My
the
sunglasses, my phone,
sunglasses.
It's usually my sunglasses.
Oh
my phone.
God. Okay. I don't want to go back, but I got to go back. I mean, God, leaving these everywhere. I go back because her date wasn't there when I left.
Right.
So I go back, there they are. They're chatting at a table, having drinks. I go up, grab my sunglasses. He turns to me. He's like, hey, what's your name? Like, come to this party. He's from Long Island. Come to this party. You gotta come to this party. It's like, his name is Michael.
He was friends with Evan
He
from
was
back
friends
east.
with Evan. No, actually
from here.
From LA.
Interesting. Okay.
But he's from Long Island. So yes, they party.
I love it.
So he got my info that night. I was there. I didn't even sit down. I grabbed my sunglasses. He got my info. I said goodbye. Went back home. And then keep getting emails from him. Evites.
That was
Remember,
when Evite was like the new thing.
Evite. I mean, I'm telling you, in over a course of 2 weeks, like 3 or 4 times. Not just one Evite.
He really wanted you to
go
to that party.
Wanted people to go to this party. And I really believe the only reason I went to the party is that I had friends from New York City staying with me that weekend in LA in my apartment, and they wanted to go out, and I had the biggest zit of I am serious. The biggest zit of my entire life.
Where on your face?
Between my eyebrows.
Stop it. Oh my God.
Directly between my eyebrows. No, it was like a mountain. It was a mountain, and I had made it scabby.
Like you do.
Because I'm fucked up. Yeah.
No, of course.
Because, you gotta
get in there.
Gotta make
surgery.
that thing.
Surgery.
Yeah. that imperfect thing all better. But, of course, you just make it worse. Much worse. So I had so much makeup on.
You should have put a bindi right there on top of it, right? Like a little sticker.
Yeah, I know, right?
Although,
one of those,
who knows? Yeah.
It was still wet and scat. It was awful. I mean, it was awful. It wouldn't even hold makeup. So who am I joking? So, but I promised my friends, I said, okay, we'll go out. I hadn't heard about this party. And I went to the party and I saw Evan. Of course, I didn't know who it was, and we were both into something called gyrotonic. I can say that. I can talk about this movement system of movement, fitness, mindful movement work. No one's in the scheme of things, not many people are into gyrotonic.
Yeah.
Certainly back in 2007. It's more popular now.
It's very niche.
Very niche. So there's in the corner of this house that we're in is this stool. And so there's a special stool. It said gyrotonic. And I thought to myself, who the heck
is that the same stool that's in your bedroom now?
You just saw it. You just saw it, the same stool. He was into gyrotonic because he had gotten into it after he had this L4, L5 disectomy. He had discovered that's what kept him out of pain. And I've been into gyrotonic as, background in dance. And it was big in New York. When I was in New York, I got into it. But I thought it was so peculiar. And I really wanted to figure out who is this person who has a gyrotonic stool. I was ever sort of giddy because he was very cute and approached him, and he ended up being the owner of the house, and then that guy Michael was there. We connected over this gyrotonic stool. We had been going to the same studio for years. Sliding doors. Honestly, sliding doors.
And then that was it. You guys were together.
That was pretty much it.
Yeah.
It was one of those, and I've dated a lot. I was a real serial dater. Let's be honest. Commitment was super scary to me. Intimacy, commitment, vulnerability.
Yeah.
I hadn't addressed those issues yet.
Yeah.
But they were underlying a lot of other symptoms, you know?
Yeah, of course.
You know, what we were running from. And so this was unusual that we went. It wasn't that it was unusual that we recognized in each other something big.
Yeah.
And more than just like attraction. It was something big.
Yeah.
And it was mutual. And it took a few months. He actually was still dating someone in New York, but living here. And I think it was good to have some obstacles that slowed things down.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that. We didn't rush into anything.
And how long have you guys been together now?
We just had our 11th anniversary.
Congratulations. That's epic.
It is.
Yeah. That's a feat.
It is. I didn't even have a relationship longer than a year and a half before.
Wow.
Met him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then, I'm going to fast forward a little bit. I have two questions. The first is, within that time frame, were you in recovery from bulimia yet?
For me, it was a gradual process. It was like, over the course of almost 2 decades, from the inception of the behavior to, the peak, which was, I can't do anything else all day. This is going on like, 6 times, 7 times a day. I don't even understand, but okay. To just less and less and less as I'm growing my container.
Yeah.
To be with my feelings, to not run from every fucking discomfort.
Yeah.
That was the test, or that was the muscle I had to develop.
Yeah.
How to be with stuff that wasn't, because I had trained myself honestly out of ever feeling discomfort.
Yeah.
Because you just take that drink, or you just take that food, or you just
smoke that cigarette.
Yeah. But what's under that? What are under those compulsions?
Yeah.
You're uncomfortable with something, and you don't want to be uncomfortable. Then your weak muscles get really weak.
Yeah.
Then you don't know how to just be with something and trust it will pass, and trust that changes, and it takes time to change, and develop, get stronger in other places to which you've weakened because of choices, coping mechanisms that weren't so healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a long process. It doesn't just happen overnight, and it's ongoing. It's ongoing.
Some people I feel like some people say it happens overnight, and it doesn't happen. I don't know if those are stories I've
That's not my experience.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah.
like you said,
It's
with
definitely not my
alcohol, it's
experience.
different. You're either drinking or you're not drinking. But with the food, it's and it's,
Yeah.
So, and then my second question in that moment was, at what point, so you're with Evan, you guys are together, you ultimately decide to get married.
Mm-hmm.
When was the shift where you started thinking about kids? And you had said earlier in the interview that he brought that out in you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
to have a family.
Yeah,
to have a family. It was pretty early, honestly. And it surprised both of us because he was married before. He has a daughter from that first marriage. When we met, she was 12 at the time, and living on the East Coast with her mom. And like I said, I wasn't having children wasn't on my list. Having a family, even getting married, wasn't on my list of to-do things. I should be careful what I put on the list,
right.
what I don't put on the list, rather.
Yeah.
But it was, I think I let him bring this out, I surprised myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that relationship really was, it's been really transformative. He was a good mirror, and I needed a mirror.
In what sense?
Well, I lived by myself. I've always liked to live by myself. And moving in with him, I had then, he's 15 years older, and he has lots of life experience, and he's traveled the world. He's met lots of different types of people, and I really trusted still trust his judgment. Yeah. He reads people really well. You know that. I think you know this about him. Yeah. And so when he would give me reflections about me, positive qualities, I really took them to heart.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't I? I mean, I still do, but it was, he had qualified. I thought he was really qualified to have his opinions,
He really saw you.
I respected,
yeah.
I think,
he really saw you on a deep level.
Yeah, I think. And I could take it in. And then children I got pregnant. We got married in 2008, and I got pregnant. We had been dating for a year, over a year. And then we got married in 2008, and I got pregnant, I guess, November of 2008, right? Because we had our son, we had our children very close in 2009.
Yeah. Bloom's is July 12th.
And William's 12 days after.
Oh, yeah, that's right. July 24th. Oh, my God. Yeah, they're so close.
Yeah. So, I got pregnant, and I was intentional. I mean, we were like, okay, we'll try.
Yeah.
And then
boom. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was so happy pregnant. Really happy pregnant woman. Then I had the baby, and that was, postpartum was a whole other ball of wax.
Yeah.
Really challenge for me.
Yeah.
It's another challenge, big challenge. Emotionally.
Yeah.
Just chemically, hormonally.
We've talked about this before. I can't remember, but did you have, you had postpartum depression after William?
I did. Yeah.
But you didn't know it at the time.
I think
I didn't know until like 2 years in.
I think
you guys probably all knew.
No, I was in shock. I was probably in denial of it.
Yeah.
I've always been in therapy for years. I was very aware of the darkness that was settling over in me and the daily crying. And I think I don't like labels. And I don't feel like that now. I think then I was still little. I was young still. I mean, it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
A lot can happen in 10 years.
Yeah. Back then, postpartum depression, in my mind, having not known anything about it, but I think one of the reasons I was denying that label for myself was, that's that one thing. And now, since then, all this research has come out, and I've read all these unfoldings of like, postpartum depression isn't just postpartum depression. It's postpartum a zillion different things, anxiety and anger and rage and indifference. And it's like, there's a whole, and it's something I'm actually really passionate about talking about. And, at some point I'd like to do something in a bigger way, more concrete way to contribute to that for women, because I think it's just, it's so layered and deep and it's not talked about. Like, I mean, they sent me from the hospital. I was like, bye.
Right.
I had 3rd-degree tearing. I had to sit on a donut for 2 weeks, like a donut cushion. Like I was on Vicodin, which I hate Vicodin.
God.
I remember taking it and going, how do people who are addicted to Vicodin like this? Like, you're not shitting, number one. Like, you don't shit. And I just feel like there's not a lot of aftercare, or not any. There's not a lot. There's not any in terms of that.
Yeah. And I mean, I was never engaged. I wasn't involved in a mother community. I had no friends who were mothers.
Me neither. I mean, I had some, but they were all had kids that were a little older. So I didn't have like new, but so thank God.
Much older, maybe decades older than me. And we weren't talking about this.
Right.
And I think I was under this assumption. I think we are given that as this assumption, like, oh, you're going to get your baby and then everything's going to be wonderful and bliss. Yeah. And I was like,
and it's not.
No,
it
wasn't for me.
For some rare people, it is. Yeah.
It was such a huge shift of everything that you've ever known, of consciousness, of who you are. I was not preparing for like the moment I would become a mother my whole life.
Right.
I had no idea what that would mean. I had no idea. And bye.
Yeah.
Like, enjoy your baby.
Yeah. Oh, your car seat's installed? Great.
Right.
Good.
Great.
Take off.
You're good.
Yeah, you're good.
And I couldn't exhale.
Yeah.
I couldn't exhale. So the anxiety, the sleeplessness, the dark feelings.
Oh, me too. I couldn't sleep. And people say, oh, so you have to sleep when the baby sleeps.
Right,
I'm like,
same.
no, that's exactly when I don't sleep.
Yeah, same. I get a burst of energy as soon as the baby is sleeping. I'm like,
me time.
Yeah. And then I have a great time. And then all of a sudden the baby's up and I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And then you can't sleep. And then, and that keeps happening over and over.
And it's lonely.
Yeah.
And we had our baby group, which we came to 6 months in, which was so helpful. And I've formed lifelong friendships from that. I'm so grateful for
that.
And yet it was 1.5 hours once a week, like it just wasn't enough. Like I wanted to live with you guys.
Same. I remember taking my time to drive. I was like, no problem. I'll drive the half hour, 40 minutes to get to class and then home because, it's okay. I had that. It was really, it was about, I don't know what it was about. I don't remember a lot of that first year. It was a lot. I don't
either. There's a lot of like blocking it out.
Yeah, dark spaces.
Which is how you get to be able to have another child. I think that's the only way. Yeah. So then you had your second child and you were already well-versed.
Yeah.
And was that easier?
It was so different. It was so different. The way I felt different. I didn't have all the extreme highs and lows afterwards. I also I had a cesarean with my first, and I did the VBAC with my second. She was 2 pounds smaller, which made it better.
Yeah.
I had 4 years in between.
Yeah.
So there had really felt like there was ample healing. And I didn't let myself tire out with that labor of my first child. I thought I was just gonna squat in the yard or in the woods. Better yet, if I could just be, barefoot in the woods, I was going to squat and have this baby out. And then I was going to pick that baby up and we were just going to go on our way, just like nothing really happened.
Yeah.
I'd just slap him on the boob and off we'd go to Whole Foods. And I would just not miss a beat of anything.
No.
Because,
No. You'd even clean up after yourself
clean up
in
after
the woods.
Absolutely. I'd cut my own cord. I was going to have an orgasm on top of it. I was like, I'm going to have the orgasmic birth. I'm going to have a self labor because, these are the perils of being such a perfectionist. Like, of course I will.
But could we talk about the orgasm thing?
Yeah.
That is a thing, right?
That is a thing. It didn't happen for me.
Didn't happen for me
either time. I'm 0 for 2, and I'm happy to be that. It's it's okay that it's like it can be a struggle.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. It's like every birth story is so different. Every birth is so different. And it's all, it's all beautiful and perfect exactly as it's supposed to be. But you do, or I did think, they're like, you do a birth plan and do this and you take these classes. And it's like, no, that's none of that helped at all.
I'm out to change the phrasing. It's really a pet peeve of mine when people ask, did you have a natural birth?
What does that mean?
Well, to me, I say all birth is natural.
Yeah.
Birth is natural.
Yeah.
I don't care what you had.
Yeah, that's
to
a
get
weird.
Through it.
I have not had people ask me that.
Was it natural? And I'm like, well, yeah, it came out of my body. It's real natural.
Yeah, that's very old-fashioned.
But I don't know. People still use that language, but the gift of my first labor, 53 hours and cesarean hospital, all the things I didn't want and thought I would never ever have. The gift of that is now I see the error of my ways of like, oh my God, I had really boxed myself in, and I didn't even maybe your child has a different plan. Oh, because thinking like it's the control issues that surround all my past struggles of like, oh, well, I'm in control. Maybe not really. Not really. And also there's another human being now in the picture, and you're not in control. And if you can't learn it any other way, maybe you're going to learn it this time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of giving a voice to the universe, right? Like, and I did learn it because it was a big cataclysmic change and hit over the head of like, oh my God, my body was ripped, I had the cesarean. I healed very poorly. And that was everything I didn't expect. And I felt like a failure. And I thought, well, that's really shitty. Because here I have this healthy, beautiful son. How am I a failure?
You birthed a gorgeous human being. Yeah. And yet, because we're somehow programmed to think,
And all of a sudden, then I didn't have a natural birth. No, fuck, hell no. It
so
came
funny.
from my body. Yeah. This is natural. I don't care if you have, what you use to supplement that process.
Yeah.
As long as you don't harm, the baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was a big growth. It was a huge growth. And so the second time was night and day difference. And I credit to, I really, I wanted a different experience, And,
well, you were a different person by then. Look at the growth. I mean, just you are, I always say having a child, and I should clarify, I do believe this happens whether you adopt a child or whether you actually give birth to a child or not. But when you mother a child and when you have a child, it does rip you apart. Like it rips you apart in the best possible way. And everything you just described is what parenthood has been for me. It's just smashed my old ideas of what, and my son now, he's not confrontive, but he really calls me on my shit because I taught him to do that.
I know.
It's so great.
I know.
It's so great because I know he's doing that out in the world for himself. And that's something I didn't learn until I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm digressing, but
yeah. No.
So you have these two incredible human beings that you're raising, and you're still, I'm kind of going back to the, Emily was born and you have these two children and you're raising them and you're still working, as I recall, during that whole time. I remember you were doing different projects and things, and you got certified in the Feldenkrais
Method, yes.
And tons of other things. You guys moved and then you moved back and you built like 2 different houses. You're doing a lot. And then you got inspired to tell this story.
The idea for my solo show came in 2012. It was before I was pregnant with Emily.
Okay.
And at that time, I was shifting gears from producing and distributing films into my own work. And motherhood birthed my creativity, birthed me like reevaluating how I was spending my time and realizing I have all these creative ideas and impulses, and now that's where I'm going to put my attention. So that did happen over a period of time. It wasn't
Just one day,
one
right?
day.
Yeah.
But it was a period so I was in that process end of 2012, and I was taking like writing workshops or generative support. I was like resourcing for generative to generate ideas and to kind of start unpacking already ideas I had. And I took a writing and movement workshop, and the writing and the voice that came out felt like a solo show. And not just to my ears, which I thought, I think this could be a solo show, but to the other women in the group, which was, in fact, one woman said it before she said, you ever thought of doing a one person show? And I was like, actually, yeah. I mean, very sort of from a distant place. Like, I think, that would be, because my background's in theater and dance, and college was a theater major. And growing up, all, plays after play after play. And when I moved to LA, it wasn't just to get into producing. Yes, I was also doing acting classes and voice lessons, which I'd always done. And at any rate, so it was birthed in this workshop. And I have always felt the last piece of my healing process would be to share my story in a more public way. Because think about, as we, thinking about one of the first things we talked about today, the secret, and the secret of my struggle, with what I did with food. It's very secretive. Food, especially bulimia, food issues are often very secretive.
Yeah.
And with the secret, the bigger the shame. It's just, they just go hand in hand. And I thought, well, I'm not passing this on to another generation, not passing this to my daughter. I was never satisfied with, you can probably tell, I'm not satisfied with doing things half-assed. There's a perfectionist thing perhaps in there, but it's also, no, I want a full healing for myself. I don't want to be haunted by this all the time.
Yeah.
I can't have that in my life.
Yeah. And I think you're right. It's not always perfectionism. I think there's a healthy pride in a solid completion to your best ability. And Lily, your best ability is, your bar is high for yourself. Yeah. And that's great.
Right. And so then I thought, okay, this show and this voice, and then I got pregnant, and then the work on the show shifted for a good, maybe a year and almost 2 years to a back burner.
Yeah.
And I'd feed it every so often with the writing or this, but it was in the back burner for sure. And I knew I would get back into it. I wanted to get out of the postpartum phase. I wanted to get out of breastfeeding, be done with, I wanted her to be more than, so in 2016. So she was 2.5 when I kind of really dove back, really recommitted or committed myself back to creating this project, to manifesting the project.
And how did you do it? From that moment on,
I started resourcing for women who were solo show performers, solo show coaches. It's a very, very particular and specific genre.
Yes.
And there are actually more today than back in 2012. Honestly, it's very interesting. I think this
growth
genre
spurt
has had a real growth spurt.
Yeah. I love that.
But so I researched who could help me in this process, because I didn't know. I've written before, but I'd not written a show before.
Yeah.
It's like a solo show. So I found a woman in New Mexico, and then I went to work with her for a weekend and started getting the process going. And then I went off on my own and wrote the show the first draft was done in less than 3 days, which felt like a real download. I think it actually was 6 hours or something.
That's amazing. So did you just lock yourself in a room and do it?
I kind of did, yeah.
I love doing that for my own writing. And I have a friend who just did that. She had her husband take her kids for 2 weeks to the East Coast during the summer. And And she stopped her work for 2 weeks and she finished her memoir. She'd already been working on it, but for me, there's something about that immersion writing that really works because you can just stay in it.
Yes.
But so then you had the reading, which I got to be a part of. Right. I was so grateful when you asked me. Oh my God, it was so amazing. It blew me away.
More than 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Amazing. Wow.
And now you're about to debut here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I premiered it in Santa Fe last March 2018. And then I wanted to get a few shows under my belt before I did the show in LA.
Yeah.
And so here I am.
Here you are. And you have your director, Valerie, is another solo show artist.
Yeah. Yeah, who you know.
Who I know.
So I love when the world gets all connected and
oh my gosh. Well,
like this.
So I mean, the show's coming up in a couple of weeks and I already have my tickets. And obviously this week on MILF Podcast, we're going to be telling everyone how to get their tickets and where to go. And but so you're doing it for how many nights are you doing it?
It's 7 shows total between September 19th and September 28th.
That is
7
intense.
shows.
That's intense.
I know.
Are you so excited? Are you nervous?
I am. It is a shamanic process. And I realized this came to me the other week when the fear was tremendous and the shame and the
like, what am I doing?
What are you doing? And I thought the only way to address this level of fear when you're fear, I think you have to go right into it, and you have to go into it with a consciousness and with the courage that I think I have to frame it as like a shamanic rite of passage, just because that I'm a very visual person, so I have to make a picture of me walking into fear in my head.
You're going to walk through fire.
You have to walk through fire
in front of us, and we're
otherwise it's
going to
consume me.
For you. Yeah.
And anxiety. I know you have.
Oh yes.
I know you know that.
Yes, I do.
Anxiety.
Well.
And so that's the way you deal with fear.
It's so hot. It's so sexy. Oh my God. It really is. That's the stuff that turns me on. That's the stuff that gets me like, yeah, let's do this.
Right.
It's because it's just, somebody asked me the other day, like, why do you keep doing this work? Like, why do you keep doing the podcast? Or why do you keep staying sober and doing your sober recovery work? And I'm like, because all the other stuff is just noise. You know what I mean? Like when I get anxious about this or that, or, material things, or I was just talking with someone the other day about my aging and how I'm worried about aging. And it's like, well, I'm only worried about aging when I'm thinking about aging. The rest of the time, I'm not thinking about it because I'm talking to another amazing mom who's doing a solo show, or I'm, but those fears are kind of percolate around. But when I get in front of people that are inspired and doing inspiring things and walking through their own fear, it provides me with this sense of relief. I don't know how, I'm not articulating it well, I don't think, but it's just like I can exhale.
Yeah.
I can just exhale and go, oh, right.
Well, I mean, to just reflect you to you, because Jen, you are completely transformed from when I met you.
Yes.
I mean, I am, and you are. And that's it's just I really treasure that. It's really valuable and it's inspiring.
Yeah.
You have stepped into yourself, your power, you're a path, showing up at my house and having this, your podcast, all the things you've been doing, your event in July, Dynasty Typewriter, who you've become through your, you have a transformational journey. I mean, I guess and I'm thinking about in my show, I think about what I want people to take away from the show, or I think when we witness someone in a transformational path, I think that's really It can be really inspiring.
So inspiring.
And really
So
uplifting.
inspiring. And that's what I was trying to say. I think I was fumbling, but when we're witnessing someone else's vulnerable, true, raw story, it gives us relief because we're less alone. We're just that much less alone.
Mm.
You know, whether we can relate to that exact
Exactly.
experience or not, we can relate to the humanity of it. And there's something that's just so beautiful about it. That's why there's millions of books and TV shows and music and theater. And I don't think we've said it. What is the name of your show?
American Standard, a story of enough.
I just got chills everywhere. So amazing.
The name before anything.
You had the name before anything.
I had the American Standard for a long time.
Yeah.
Is it obvious why?
To me, it is.
Okay.
But we
Doesn't
can say
have to
why.
be.
We can say why.
Well,
For those listeners that are like, why is American Standard? What does that mean?
they should come to the show.
They should come to the show.
Do come to the show.
So tell us where the show is.
Highways Performance Space, which is a black box theater in
Here in
Santa
Santa
Monica. Mm-hmm. 18th and Olympic.
Yeah.
So
Super easy to get to, and it's such a great
It
space.
is easy to get to, and it's a great space. I needed it. I needed this run at least to be on the west side.
Yeah.
Because that's really where I've made my home, most of my community. But I'm fearless. I'm a fearless Los Angelian in terms of driving.
Oh, yeah.
I go anywhere.
Yeah. You really do. I ran into you at that Calabasas Air one.
Oh,
I was
my
like,
gosh, that's right.
which is
I
also
do go
my
anywhere.
favorite one. I know.
I love Calabasas.
I'm going to live there.
Uh-huh.
We're going to make it happen. But that'll be good. So,
I'll go anywhere.
so wait, okay. So highway space. And by the way, all of this, if you're driving or doing your laundry or whatever, all of this is in the show notes. So if you want to buy tickets, which you should if you're in LA, you can go to my show notes at milfpodcast.com and you can get tickets. I will be there probably more than once. I'm bringing one friend at least one night. I have those tickets bought, but, and then there will be more and we will keep you apprised of the next space. Maybe you'll travel. Maybe you'll do it. Many
hope so.
venues.
I
Yeah,
hope
I mean,
so.
that's
I think with creative work, you have to just listen. You know, it's an entity. It's a living kind of thing, and you listen to what it wants to be, what it wants to do, how it wants to maybe change, or if it's done. I don't think you just have to listen.
I love that you just said that, because for me, what's interesting is when I get into my creative stuff, my ego can take over and try to dictate what it should be or where it should be or who should be seeing it. You know, it's interesting. And I think what you just said is so nice because it lets that ego kind of take a back seat. And it's like, no, you're not driving this.
Yeah. Well, honestly, all the best things that have ever happened to me have been accidents or random, seemingly random, or like, because I turned around and
Because
went
you
back
forgot
to
your
glasses.
sunglasses. Yeah.
And
That's
so I could have
crazy.
never, if I had said, well, I want this to go like that, or all the best things have been felt like chance encounters, or when I didn't have it all mapped out. So
Boy, did I need to hear that today. Because I tend to think I need to have it all mapped out. I really do. I'm really trying to release that at 44.
Can I just tell your listeners, though, something?
Yeah.
Jen has really great feet.
I do. I do.
You all need to know this because you'll probably never, ever see her bare feet. They're really great.
You're so sweet. I was like, you were
And they're
looking
really
at my
clean,
feet
but
and
she doesn't have any color in her nails, which I love because
you
had
like
a boy-
bare nails.
I do. I had a boyfriend once that I was deeply, deeply in wild love, infatuation with, and respect. And I remember I showed up one time. He was a firefighter.
Ooh, hot.
Oh, yeah, it was really hot. I was really young, but I showed up to where he was stationed in southern New Mexico, and I had painted my nails, got this pedicure, and he was the kindest man, but he also was like, I thought he was going to love this pedicure I had done. He was like, I don't like polish. And I know it sounds kind of like it could have been mean. It wasn't.
No, I wasn't gasping, but I was just, for me, that's so interesting. I've never had a man
comment
on my nails or not nails. I don't know, except for like, oh, you got your nails done. But like to say, oh, I don't like polish. That's just so interesting. Like that he knew what he liked and he was willing to say it. He was like,
oh, honey, kind of like, oh,
like,
honey, you don't need that.
Exactly. That's what I liked about it. Like he just wants your raw beauty.
Yeah. And because it was I won't go into the story of how we ended up completely falling out and never having any contact. And it's one of the biggest regrets that I was, of my, it's a regretful ending. He didn't like it. And I don't use polish every so often. My daughter loves it. But I love the fact that you have beautiful feet.
Thank you.
I never say
Thank you for saying that. That's so sweet.
Well, it's true.
Okay, so we've come to the time
Yeah.
when I ask the questions. And then the lightning round. Okay. What do you think about, Lily, when you hear the word MILF?
Jennifer Tracy. I will join the long line of women who say Jennifer Tracy. I do. Your picture.
Well, thank you. I'm very glad. That's good. We're redefining it.
We are.
What's something you've changed your mind about recently?
I changed my mind a lot. I'm fearless about changing my mind.
I love that.
And I give all women the permission to change their minds. Whether it's like you were gonna go out to dinner with someone and you just, at the last moment, I'm not into standing people up, but it's okay to change your mind.
Yeah. Listen to your intuition, which you said at the very beginning.
Well, I think that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Change your mind. It may be the best thing you ever did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. How do you define success?
I think it's a feeling of satisfaction, success. And only each of us knows what that is.
Yeah.
And I think it's the warm feeling in your belly. It's that warm, like easy feeling in your belly. That should be a success. Yeah.
Okay, lightning round of questions. Ocean or desert?
Desert.
Favorite junk food? Can't wait for this answer.
I'm thinking of anything with chocolate and almond butter.
Oh yeah. Oh. they have
coconut. Sorry, chocolate and coconut.
Trifecta.
Yeah.
Now they have the Justins with almond butter.
Oh yeah.
It's so much better with almond butter.
I'm a nut I have a whole pantry of every flavor nuts, and if I can just eat them and with some chocolate and coconut. And
I just discovered
dates
like a year ago, cashews. Where have cashews been all my life?
Oh God.
Oh my God, I was missing out. They're like kind of creamy. And then I discovered cashew milk.
Oh, so good.
Well, I was like, what?
So good.
It's so yummy.
I know.
It's satisfying. It's very. It is successful. Cashews.
My
are
son
successful.
my son's vegetarian, so I find all sorts. So we're huge, and he loves nuts. So
There's so many. Oh, and I was just in Hawaii, and we had macadamia nuts and the fruit. I mean, I've forgotten how amazing the fruit is there, but we had these macadamia nuts and I was like, oh my God, I forgot about macadamia nuts. Like, I wouldn't eat them all the time, but there was like a dessert.
Apple cider donuts.
Wait, what do you mean?
Sorry.
Apple cider donuts?
I'm still thinking about your question.
Them?
I have deep fried my own donuts. They're so good. I learned on the East Coast. It's an East Coast thing. It's a Pennsylvania thing.
So apple cider, you mean
apple cider? You use apple cider in the dough when you make it, Then you
So
roll
it's
it in
like that
cinnamon sugar
It
and
tastes
everything.
like the fall in West Virginia.
Bingo. It's so beyond. I'm going to have to make it and you'll come over for coffee,
Have to make.
apple cider donuts. I'm sorry. You've gotten me now thinking about like my favorite. What did you ask? Junk food?
Junk food.
I don't even know if that is junk food. That is so good food though. I
That
mean,
isn't really
I
junk
will have to
food,
just
but
redefine it.
well, in your realm,
We'll
that
have
is
to
junk
redefine
food.
it. We'll have to redefine
You know,
it.
one of my Hayes Hawk Rosen, her answer was kale chips was her junk food. So, you know,
weird.
it's
California,
whatever. Yeah,
yeah.
we're so LA. Movies or Broadway show?
Broadway show.
Daytime sex or nighttime sex?
Day.
Right on.
Mhm.
Yeah. Too tired at night.
I'm fucking beat.
Yeah.
Tonight. I'm just trash.
Yeah. Unless it's like 4 a.m.
Uh-huh.
Then it's morning sex.
Right.
It's not really
Morning,
nighttime.
noon.
Noon.
Noon sex.
A good nooner does me right.
Love it.
Texting or talking?
To you, texting everybody else.
Cat person or dog person?
Dog.
Have you ever worn a unitard?
I wore a unitard last night.
Yes.
Not to bed.
Yes. Yes.
I love my unitard. I love my tards. My unitards and my leotards.
I love my tards.
They're
Oh
my
God.
they're my thunder suits. Have you heard about dogs and they need a thunder suit?
No, what's
A thunder shirt. Sorry, a thunder shirt. It's what you put on a dog when it's lightning and thundering out to calm them.
Oh.
A friend of mine who has dogs who get really hyped up around loud noises, they have these thunder shirts and they're like really fitted and they make them feel secure.
And your unitards make you feel secure?
My unitards and my leotards make me feel secure.
I love that.
I love them. I wear them a lot.
Yeah.
Secret fact.
Shower or bathtub?
I can't live without a bath, but I'm very mindful too about my water usage. Another thing I've had to change.
Yeah.
Living in California.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ice cream or chocolate?
Chocolate.
Dark chocolate or?
Preferably raw.
Oh.
The kind that has to be refrigerated.
Yes.
Yeah.
I found these new things at Erewhon. This is so LA boring, but it comes in an orange package. It's like raw. It's basically raw cacao, coconut. I think that's it.
Maple syrup. Okay.
I don't even think there's. Well, there must be something sweetener. Yeah. It's like mushy.
Oh, I know this one.
It's.
I had yesterday. I had some raw chocolate with me, but don't leave it in your purse.
Oh God. Did it melt all over everything?
It happens.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at ping pong?
Oh, a 5.
What's your biggest pet peeve?
Was your birth natural?
If you could push a button, which one do I ask? You have three choices. If you could push a button, because you already have perfect skin, so that's out. If you could push a button and it would create 10 years of world peace, but it would also place a 100-year ban on all beauty products, would you push it?
Yeah, of course.
Superpower choice: invisibility, ability to fly, or super strength.
Invisibility.
Would you rather have a penis where your tailbone is or a third eye?
Third eye.
What was the name of your first pet?
Valentine.
What was the name of the street you grew up on?
Starbuck.
Stop it right now.
Uh-huh.
So your poor name is Valentine Starbuck. That is fantastic.
You can take the show on the road now.
Oh my
You
God.
can really. Yeah.
Lily, I love you so much.
I love you, Jen. Thank you.
Just really
for this
quickly, is
opportunity.
there a website for your show or is there a newsletter people can sign up for? How do people get in touch with you? How do they follow you on Instagram?
Yeah. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. It's Instagram, Lilly Bright 76 at Lilly Bright 76. I'm a centennial baby. And Facebook, Lilly Bright, American Standard Show, AmericanStandardShow.com is the website. And there's, you can get in contact with me there. links to the tickets there. But Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Lilly Bright 76.
Perfect. So we can stay updated as you bring new shows and do new things. And also, you can always find all of this on the milfpodcast.com website under Lily's show notes, as well as a transcript of the show. Just so grateful to know you. I love you so much.
I love you so much. Thanks, Jen.
Thanks so much for listening, guys. I really hope you enjoyed my conversation with Lilly. Please check out flirtygirlguide.com. And remember to use your exclusive VIP code MILF10 for 10% off of all your purchases. Come back next week for a fresh episode of MILF. I love you guys. Keep going.